where we read the Christ letters, where we read the Christ letters, and we've been reading them almost a year now, almost a year, and where all of it is so enlightening, has been enlightening, all of it. And we're at the part, I love this part. I love all of it, but um, yeah, because now we get to talk about healing, while we are sick, while we get our diseases um, in this body. Because if you hear me talk about, listen, we're not solid. We're made up of particles. We're not our bodies. This is just a temporary vessel that's here for some form of experience. And for each individual, for each soul, it might be different. But the goal is for us to find ourselves back to our soul, become one with our soul. And I think many scriptures in the Bible, especially Solomon, um, talk about this is what the marriage is. This is the divine union has to take place. This electric electricity body must unite with the feminine aspect, our soul, our divine aspect of us, our soul, and this is where we're at. And if, and we're energy beings, you hear me talk about that we're energy beings, and we're vibrating at a certain frequency, so this is where we're at. And now we get to understand. And last week we read um, we need energy. We need energy. So a disease, a sickness and a disease is caused by um, energy, a lack of energy to that area. And I know when you do CT scans, MRI, you could see that's how an aspect of it is dark, or especially in the brain. I saw it once in the lungs. The dark doesn't necessarily mean, but then certain highlighted areas can tell you if it's disease, if enough energy is coming into your body, because we're electromagnetic beings. And so they determine that aspect of you is not working the way it should. And another thing, so we need energy. We need energy. And so far, two things we do was identified last week where we get energy. We get energy from the food. We get energy from our soul, from understanding who we are, from vibrating at a certain frequency. That's how we get energy. And I was thinking about it too. It talked about, I'm going to read that over. We get energy from praying, meditation. Those are stuff we get energy from. And not the processed food. So I have to be specific when I say food. So we really need to be eating alkaline. We get our energy from that food. And if you understand, you see how everything comes together, because that's our food has been contaminated, or um hasn't been where it was even when I was growing up, because that's how we're getting. That's why we have so many diseases, because we're not getting that energy from the food. So this is where we are. So I hope this find you this week. Please being present. Being present is the most important thing for us as human beings. And what does being present mean? Being present means Now, if you're here, you're here. Don't think about the past. Don't think about what next. Everything is happening at this moment. And being present calms your thoughts. Remember, we create with our thoughts and our emotion, and our thoughts keep going, going, going. And most of our thoughts are egotistical, and they create, I know, they and everything has consciousness to it. And these are the things that we use to create whatever is going on in our lives. So continue to be present, continue to be present, continue to and being present is a form, also a form of meditation, because you're just trying to quiet the mind and focus on the present, and that's where creation takes place. That's where that's how manifestation takes place. Be present, calm in the mind, like you're in meditation, and pray. Remember too, when we pray, we're praying to our higher selves. We're praying to the divine aspect of us. This is who we're praying to. This is the source of our being. And you want to call him God, you want to call him Yahweh, Jehovah, Allah, Mohammed, Buddha, whatever you call your name. You're just praying to yourself. Pray. I even heard one says in the Christ letter, ask questions. Ask questions. When your psyche begins to penetrate that ego, then you have a lot of questions. Ask questions. And as I always quote Doris Cannon, that says the universe is always yes, 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 yes. Somehow the universe will send you answers. Always send you answers. All right, so we're going to continue reading the Christ letters this week. We're going to continue reading Christ letters this week, and I'm going to start. We're still on letter 5. Okay, and I'm going to start here because I thought about, I meditated up on what was read last week. If you're out there and you're struggling in any way, whether sickness, whether in lack in any form, this is how everything Christ letters is showing us. This is how everything, you get back your health, you get everything you need. Let me trying to charge my so I can see, so I get to see everyone. So I get to okay. Okay, all right. So I'll see if anyone has any questions. Okay, yeah, so we're gonna start with the Christ letters, and I'm gonna start with, we're still on letter 5. We're gonna continue reading the Christ letters. And it says, however, on reading these letters, you can begin to effect your own healing. paramount in your self-treatment must be these instructions regarding the divine reality, powering existence, and the right way to tune into it and draw divine life into the healing process. So, so these letters can help us with our healing. As Christ is saying, these letters can help us in our healing. And healing is healing physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, healing. And paramount, and it can be paramount. These are the things that can be paramount in your self-treatment. You hear that? Self-treatment must be these instructions regarding the divine reality, powering existence, that universal consciousness, your soul, you know, powering existence. We are not solid. We're looking at each other. This is a body. This is not it. There is a powerful being behind what we see with our physical eyes. Our eyes only show us some. I'm going to start saying between 3 to 10% of what the thing really is. Okay? And it says, when you begin to draw on the life of the divine reality by means of your spiritual search. So when you begin to draw life, when you begin to depend on who you are, if you're listening to deep ministry all the time and you hear deep ministry says, who we truly are is divine souls, who we truly are gods. So when we have a made up mind to draw from what you hear deep ministry, or what you feel, or what you know deep ministry says, that divine reality, your divine soul, your that divine aspect of you. So in your spiritual search. So you're searching now, and that's where you're going to draw your healing from. That's where you're going to draw your blessings from. That divine aspect, that universal consciousness, Father, Mother, that's where you're going to draw your divine healing from. So when you begin to draw on the life of the divine reality, that reality in where everything is perfection, in where there's no sickness, and where there is no lack. When you start searching spiritually, you know, there's no lack. There's no lack in this divine reality. And it says, by means of your spiritual search, you start asking questions. You start asking questions. You start meditating, reading, and praying. Reading and praying, you begin to open your psyche up from its enclosed ego consciousness, earthly dreaming. So this psyche slash soul, the intermediary between the soul and the ego. This is what's gonna, I'm just picturing the flowers opening up, you know. Let me tell you, this world is divinely made. I'm just picturing a flower just budding. We start budding, we start opening up from that bond we have from our ego consciousness, and we talk about ego consciousness, that we are only this body, and it's me, and no one else, and it's only earth and there's nothing else. And so when we start searching, when you hear and you begin to understand that there's more to you than this body, and you begin to start asking questions, you begin, that's when you begin to open up, you start blooming, you get out of that ego consciousness. That's what Romans talk about, Paul talks about, the flesh, the self. So when you start doing that, your psyche, and we know the psyche, I think mind, um, up from its enclosed ego consciousness, earthly dreaming. You see, it says earthly dreaming. And another thing, um, when you are in this ego consciousness, when you are all in self, like there's nothing else but this body, the body is all there is, you're in your intellect, you're in self, all you're doing is just ignoring the divine aspect of yourself. And I know our creator expected that. And that's why I get so defensive about the Bible. The Bible was intended at least to open our consciousness to the spiritual realm, to the divine realm, to the spiritual aspect of us. So I do get defensive of the Bible, even though it has used, yes, to enslave us, because the interpretation of the Bible is used to enslave us, not the Bible. The Bible, it is so uniquely made that it have different aspect of it, to open our eyes depends on our consciousness, depends on where we're vibrating. So if you're in your ego consciousness, there's a literal aspect of the Bible for you to get out of your ego consciousness. By understanding the Bible literally, it can help you, but it doesn't mean that you stay there. And then you start going deeper and you say, oh, this Bible is spiritual. And you're going deeper and you said, oh, this Bible is allegoric. Oh, you're going deeper and you say, oh, this is esoteric writing. That's how the Bible, that's how this word was given to us. So no one have the right to criticize any. I don't have the right to criticize anyone's interpretation of the Bible. Your interpretation is dependent on your energy level, where your awareness is, and how you're vibrating. That's how I see the Bible. Yeah. So yes, talking about and when we start to open our psyche, when we start to ask questions about the spiritual realm, that's when we're starting to get out of the control of the ego, out of the control of the ego. And don't think you can get rid of the ego, and the ego is the devil. No, the ego was given to us by our creator as individuality. Yes, we're separate but equal. We're separate but equal, and the ego is what defined that separateness, that individuality aspect of us. All right. Yeah, so that's it. And it says, let me just read this again. When you begin to draw on the life of the divine reality by means of your spiritual search, asking questions, meditating, reading, and praying, you begin to open your psyche up from its enclosed ego consciousness, earthly dreaming. Earthly dreaming. So listen, you're in your ego, you're just dreaming. If you don't understand, let me tell you, if you don't understand who you are, if you don't understand that there's a divine aspect of you, you're in a wonderland. You're in a dreamland. Because when you go down the earth, when the breath leave your body, then you're going to be like, oh, then you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I thought there was nothing other. Your energy. Energy does not die. Energy is transformed. So you're just in la la land right now if you think there's nothing outside of this body. You draw into mind and emotions the nature of the divine reality itself. So when you start when you begin to draw on the life of the divine reality by means of your spiritual search, you're asking questions, you're meditating, you're reading, you're praying, you begin to draw open your psyche up from its enclosed ego consciousness, earthly dreaming, and you draw into mind and emotions the nature of divine reality itself. So you start thinking and feeling that divine reality, that oh my gosh, what is behind this ego, what is behind this body? That's divine reality. That's the divine aspect of us. This is ego reality. The other aspect is divine reality. All that passes through your mind and emotion is passed into the electromagnetic fields surrounding you. All right. So we're getting real deeper now in these Christ letters. And I think that electromagnetic field is that apple. Is that apple that Eve ate. Some call it electromagnetic field, some called it biofield. So as I tell you, we are not body, we are energy beings, electromagnetic beings, and around us is an electromagnetic field. Electromagnetic field. Listen, we are our own universe. We are our own universe. So this electromagnetic field, which comes from our heart, there the if you understand the heart, there's like 4 chambers in the heart. And I know in school they tell us that the heart is a pump. It's just like I was thinking this came into my mind the other day. Just like how we see a dam. Is it a dam they call it, where the water where the water just pour from off the rock, and they capture it and create electricity. That's how I think the heart works. The energy, that's because so much blood is going through the chamber of the heart, it creates an energy field around us. And that's the emotion. And this energy field around us, invisible energy field, but we might say visible, invisible, but a lot of times, I would say highly spiritual person, someone come into a room and just change the energy. It's that electromagnetic field around that person that can affect everyone in your home. It can affect wherever you go. That's what people feel. That's the energy they feel about you. So you think you're hiding your emotions, but your emotions, that electromagnetic field is filled up of what's going on inside your body, what's going inside your heart. And that's why the universe is so authentic. You can't hide anything from it, because that electromagnetic field is felt by the universe around us. And that's why the Bible says he knows our thoughts, he knows our needs and our wants before we even ask. We're giving off that energy. We're giving off that energy. And something's coming into my mind when he said, and I know it's not physical, God knows it's not physical. Even when he said, Abel, Cain, where's your brother? Because Cain was giving off that energy of death. So nothing's hidden. Your energy, you're rubbing it off on your husband, your children, everyone in your household, everyone on your job, wherever you go, you have a nasty energy. I was talking about this. You sit on the computer in someone's comment section and spill this bile. And you spill this bile about other people and talk about other people. And you think, oh, nobody knows it's me. You know the energy you're rubbing off on yourself, on your marriage, on your children, on your household. You know the energy that's coming off of that? Huh? So that's what's causing your sickness, because this electromagnetic field is vibrating and it's returning to you, whatever you're putting out, whatever you sow, you reap. So this is what this electromagnetic field, when they said, and this is just my opinion, when they said that Eve bit the apple. Eve bite the apple. I think this is the electromagnetic field. Eve took a bite out of the apple. It's just the electromagnetic field vibrating, and and it's great when people say raise your energy, vibration, and frequency. Oh my gosh, it affects, just like the negativity affected the greatness. Some people walk in a room and you can't help but turn around because they're vibrating so high. Their biofield, their electromagnetic field is just have this energy about them. You would talk to them all day, you know. You just want to be around that person. Hey sis, how are you? I know you can't say anything, but how are you? Hope you're okay. Yeah. So so you draw to mind and emotions the nature of the divine reality itself. Good, sis. I see you. Good, sis. All that passes through your mind and emotions is passed into the electromagnetic field surrounding you. And I just explained what the electromagnetic field is. These contribute to your strength. These contribute to your strength as your electromagnetic fields are energized by the power you drawn from your divine reality. So is the power passed back into your physical body, and each organ becomes ever more healthy, and any dysfunctions are gradually cleared up. So this is how we're going to get our healing. This is how we get in our healing. And that's why immediately when we're vibrating at a good frequency, when we raise our consciousness, And when we renew our mind, as it tells us, we are seeking that divine reality, that reality of the of where our soul, where our mother and our father resides, where that's what we're tapping into. We are tapping into that energy because I remember I mentioned we get our energy from the food, and we get our energy from that divine reality. And so we're eating the right food. We're eating less um, processed food. We're eating more um, fruits and vegetables and stuff from the tree as best as we can. And the most important part of it, we're asking questions. We're seeking that divine reality. We're getting out of our ego, me, 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 me. We're getting out of our ego. We're meditating. We're reading. And we're praying. And we're praying. So all that energy is coming in. So the ego is decreasing. The ego is decreasing. So the more the ego decreases, that energy, that divine energy is coming in into our heart. That electromagnetic field, and that electromagnetic field picks it up and return it to our bodies so we can be healed. Yep. So this is how so all these things contribute to our strength. And this is the healing of the future. So if you hear this, say, you'll be like, what is this lady talking about? Going to the doctor and the doctor diagnosed, this is how they're gonna tell where the sickness is. It's about from your electromagnetic field. And I know people can look at some people right now and be like, you know what, John, you don't look good. It's the aura. That's what they call the aura, their energy that they're giving off. And John doesn't even probably know that he's not feeling well, but someone who is vibrating at a higher frequency can sense it. This is medicine of the future. So there's nothing that can be hidden. Everyone will, the way this is the great divide. As the Christ letters mention, the great divide is going to be those who are consciousness, those who are conscious, and those who can't get out of their ego. That's going to be the great divide. All right. Okay. So this is how we're going to be healed, as your electromagnetic fields are energized by the power you draw from that divine reality. That divine reality, not your ego, not your body, that from your divine self. So is the power passed back into your physical body, and each organs become ever more healthy, and any dysfunctions are gradually cleared up. You know, let me highlight this. This is very important. It is vital for you to remember these physical electromagnetic field process, because the knowledge will both inspire and encourage your daily meditation and attunement with the divine reality. Yes, yes. Like this, we have to understand that we are not physical beings, we're energy beings, right? Vibrating at a certain frequency. Um, if your sincere search and meditation are directed towards the truth of being, and not at some earthly religious forms of belief or superficial, spurious spirituality or any material you objects you believe to possess powers. You will find that gradually your own nature is changing and you begin to be aware of otherness and their needs as you never did before. You become more empathetic, understanding, caring, compassionate, and gentle. In fact, the soul qualities of divine life now begin to control your natural ego impulses for satisfaction and self-defense. So what Christ is saying, listen, the divine reality, the truth of our being, who we truly are, that's where we have to be, our focus has to be on. The truth of our being. That's what Christ come to tell us. That's what Christ to tell us about the truth of our being. And the truth of our being is that we are energy. We have a divine soul. We are not this body. We are not solid. We are made up of particles, energy particles that vibrate at a certain frequency. And now he adds on to it that we have an electromagnetic field around us, that our thoughts and our emotions, I tell you all the time that our thoughts and our emotions create our reality. Now we go deeper into how our thoughts and emotions create our reality, because our thoughts and emotion creates this electromagnetic field around us. And this electromagnetic field, it returns everything that we create back to us. This is how it works. And so the goal is for us to be mindful of our thoughts and our emotions, because whatever we sow, we reap. Whatever we sow, we reap. All right. So, and that has to be our belief when our that has to be where we draw our spirituality from. That's basically what the Christ letters is saying, not from, he call it earthly religious forms of belief. And not an example of earthly religious forms of belief, believing that there is someone outside of you that's coming to save you. All these rules and regulations, you're a divine being. You create your own reality. So all these rules and whatever they want to do, you're not supposed to be waiting on anyone to save you. So if you draw from these earthly forms of belief, or superficial, spurious, or some other form of spirituality that doesn't line up with that you are a divine being, or any material objects you believe in. So if you think this doll have a certain power about it that can heal you, this that we're saying is not going to work. You're not going to be healed. You're not going to be healed. So if you're just concentrating on the truth of your being, that you're a divine soul, and you're tapping into that divine reality through prayer, through meditation, through asking questions, then I like right here, then you're gonna start finding yourself becoming more empathetic. When you find yourself becoming more empathetic, more understanding, more caring, more compassionate, and more gentle, that means you're tapping into this divine reality. You're tapping into who you are. You are no longer controlled by the ego consciousness. So now you are controlled by, and I like this, it says, in fact, the soul qualities of divine life now begin to control your natural ego impulses for satisfaction and self-defense. And now you see, and now I'm saying, I'll tell my sister later, but now you can see that the role the ego is going to be playing, because remember, we can't um, get rid of our ego. It just comes with us naturally. We were given it during conception. So now the ego is gonna move from the physical body controlling it to the spiritual aspect of ourselves controlling it. So the role change. So when the body controls it, when the world controls it, it's me, selfish, nobody else but me. But with divine life controlling it, it's gonna be compassion, it's gonna be understanding, it's gonna be empathetic. That's just our individuality that was given to us during conception. It's just part of us. And that's the goal for us here on earth. All right. So I'm going to read this last sentence no more, because it's one more time. It's very, very, I love it. In fact, the soul qualities, and these are the soul qualities. These are the soul qualities. So if you're listening to me, I hope you're exuding these soul qualities. You're empathetic, you're understanding, you're caring, you're compassionate and gentle. So the soul qualities of divine life now begin to control. These are the things begin to control your natural ego impulses for satisfaction and self-defense. Okay? All right. So I want to warn you that you will have now entered a new and difficult time. So if you hear me, you're thinking, oh my gosh, that's all I have to do. Now the work starts. Now the work starts. So it says, I want to warn you that you will have now entered a new and difficult time, an era of conflict between the ego drive, which has habitually insisted on fulfilling its wants, perhaps at the expense of other people, and the psyche, the soul, which is beginning to realize that love is the law and the rights of other people have to be balanced equally with the rights of self, the ego, as the psyche absorbs more and more of the soul, which is divine reality, into consciousness. The old ego drive begins to release its grasp, and inner daily conflict becomes even more intense. And I have to say, everyone who's been on this journey, just knowing that there's a divine aspect of us, we will never, whoever been on this journey, we will never tell you that it's easy. We're never going to tell you that it's easy and oh, it's happily ever after. No, but because each step of the way, remember, this is something that we weren't taught, and the ego been directing the show for a long time, ever since we were kids. And the ego's not just going to give up like that, you know? So it's just a balance between the psyche and the ego. It's just a tug of war. And there are the fruits. I remember I have to go post those fruits of the ego, and you have and tonight we understand the fruits of the soul, of the psyche. So when we have to recognize when we fall into each one of those, the fruits of the ego is always selfish and like to separate. The fruits of the soul, the psyche, is compassion, um, is caring, is understanding, is being empathetic. So we have to recognize when we are not in our divinity, when the ego is peeping through. I'm telling you, I've been on this path, and sometimes, yes, you get up all because the ego is always want to defend you. And the first thing, oh, you got to speak back and you got to yell back, and they're trying to get you. And you got to, that's what the ego does. It's there to protect us in its own way. It's there to protect us. So now the psyche comes, and the psyche is not going to deal with protecting us as the way the ego does. It's going to try to be understanding and compassionate. It's not, the first resort is not to think that someone is attacking you, or so we have to, when you decide to tap into that divine reality, it's going to be a battle between the psyche and the soul and the ego. And the good thing about this, we know where we were, and if we don't want to go back there, we'll immediately, when we find ourselves going back there, we'll just switch. We'll just go back. And sometimes, I know I get carried away. Sometimes I have to spend a day, but that's okay. It's okay. We're not gonna get it, but eventually, the more we do it, the more we do it. The stronger we are for it. The more we overcome the ego, the stronger we are for it. All right. So I'm going to read this paragraph one more time. It says, I want to warn you that you will have now entered a new difficult time, an era of conflict between the ego drive, which has habitually insisted on fulfilling its wants, perhaps at the expense of other people, and the Psyche-soul, which is beginning to realize that love is the law. Love, 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 love. God is love. Many times we hear that God is love. Love is the law. And the rights of other people have to be balanced equally with the rights of self-ego. It can't be me, 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 me. And as the psyche absorbs more and more of the soul. Yeah, so I told you earlier, the psyche, the mind, is like intermediary between the soul and the ego. And when we were in our ego, the psyche is just there, imprisoned, can't penetrate the ego. We're just in this worldly aspect of us that we were indoctrinated in, that we are this body and we have to go out there and we have to work the 9 to 5, and we have to look for God outside of ourselves, and we need somebody else to make us happy. There's no work on self. There's no accountability for self. It's always somebody else doing it. Yeah, always somebody doing it. And the psyche's there, try to penetrate the soul, try to penetrate the soul. Try to penetrate the ego, try to penetrate the ego, because the soul is It is knocking on the psyche, because remember, your soul is who you pray to. The soul see your tears. The soul understand what you're going through. So everyone's there while we're there in our pity party, crying and probably waiting for somebody else to come and help us. The soul is trying to, no, wake up, John, wake up. The psyche is hitting on the ego, but you're so wrapped up in this world. You can't understand that, even though a lot of us says, oh, my mind told me. That's your psyche bearing down on you, and you're praying and you're praying, and your soul is like, I'm right here and right here. So when a little crack is made, when a little breakthrough is made by the psyche, and you open up and you be like, oh my God, there has to be a better way. This can't be hit. This is not who God is. This is not who I am. This something ain't right. You know, something ain't right. So this is how the psyche just break through and tap into the ego. And so you start asking questions, you start praying, you come to the knowledge of who you are, that everything is within, everything is within. And I change me. I'm the only one that can change my reality. No one can do it for me, and your soul start making imprint in your mind, sending you little by little things to help you navigate this realm. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so your psyche and your soul, which is beginning to realize that love is the law and the rights of other people have to be balanced equally with the rights of the self-ego. As the psyche absorbs more of the psyche absorbs more of the soul, because the ego is being diminished, is being subjected to the soul. Remember, we're not getting rid of the ego. It just have to be under subjection. All right. The the old ego drives begins to release its grasp, and the inner daily conflict becomes even more intense. So the psyche, soul, now working through mind and art, discovers it is balancing the needs of other people against the validity of its own needs, and it becomes weighed down and weary of the endless internal struggle of self-questioning and self-judgment. When the psyche is reaching this point of perception, it indicates that the pull of the human consciousness is thinning to such an extent that the soul is now drawing close to and becoming reunified with the divine reality. The soul acknowledges through the medium of the psyche that it loves the divine love that is the divine reality more than it loves anything earthly, and longs to be fully united with its source of being. Oh, wow. This is a lot. This is a lot. The soul, the ego, the psyche. All right. So here it tells us the old ego drive begins to release its grasp, and inner daily conflict becomes even more intense. Why? The psyche, the soul. So now the psyche is doing what the ego used to do. First, the ego used to be the one, listen, I'm protecting myself at what cost. I don't care what's the cost to anyone else. I'm protecting myself. Now the psyche, the intermediary between the psyche, the ego, and the soul, with its compassion and with its what else it calls compassion, understanding, and all that, um, is coming in, and what this is doing, it's not as selfish as the ego, so it's trying to juggle the needs of the individual with the needs of everyone else. So the psyche soul now working through the mind and the heart, because the ego is not doing it anymore. Discover it is balancing the needs of other people against the validity of its own needs, and it becomes weighed down and weary of the endless internal struggle of self-questioning and self-judgment. Yeah. So even the psyche gets weird down. When the psyche is reaching the point of perception, it indicates that the pull of the human consciousness is thinning so much and is thinning so much and extent so much an extent that the soul is now drawing close to and be to and becoming reunified with the divine reality. Oh wow. Let me highlight this. Let me highlight this. So when the psyche is reaching this point of perception, and perception, they said perception is reality. It doesn't mean it's true. Its perception is whatever you think is the truth. Whatever you think is going on. So basically the psyche is all worn down. It indicates that the pull of the human consciousness is thinning so much. Thinning, no, the pull of the human consciousness is thinning to such an extent that the soul is now drawing close to and becoming reunified with the divine reality. So the human consciousness is thinning. Is thinning. I remember when I first wanted to meditate it, someone says the human consciousness, what you are aware of, it is so thick. So every time you meditate, the first time you start meditating, it's gonna take a while for you to reach that divine reality, basically, because the cloud, the it's like whatever is between the human consciousness and the spiritual consciousness, it is like night and day. I mean, when the Bible says, as far as the east is from the west, so are my ways your ways, and your thoughts my thoughts. Basically, that's, I'm not sure if that's so much our understanding of the spiritual realm, the chasm between the human consciousness and spiritual consciousness is huge. So what it's saying right now, so the psyche, because it's coming, the human consciousness, the ego consciousness is lowering and lowering. So the psyche comes in, that intermediary comes in and try to navigate everything from the standpoint of being understanding, being compassionate. Um, it says when the psyche is reaching the point of perception, it indicates that the pull of the human consciousness is thinning so much. So that human consciousness is thinning because it's now being understanding more and more of that divine reality. The human consciousness is thinning because the psyche is not in control, because the psyche is now in control and the ego is under subjection. It's been thinning, that's thinning, and then the reunification between the soul, the real soul, and the individual um, is longing to take place. So, when the psyche is reaching this point of perception, it indicates that the pull of the human consciousness is thinning so much an extent that the soul is now drawing close to and becoming reunited with the divine reality. The soul acknowledged through the medium of the psyche that it loves the divine love that is the divine reality more than it loves anything earthly and longs to be fully united with its source of being. So that human consciousness is thinning so much so the source of being is its creator. It's who that person really is. And I'm thinking that's what Christ was experiencing. Christ was longing to go back to who he truly is. He tell us, he was like, oh, I'm tired of this flesh. I'm tired of this flesh. So that's the goal. That's the goal for us to reunited with the source of our being. The goal is for us to um is to be reunited. We get out of this world. The human consciousness becomes thinner and thinner, and when the human consciousness becomes thinner, we are reunited. We are um longing to be reunited with our soul. We want we're understanding divine reality more and more, and there's not this big chasm between us and the spiritual realm. And then that's the union taking place. So we truly are, because this is not who we truly are. Who we truly are is um that higher self, um, the source of our being. That's who we really are. Okay. So the soul acknowledged through the medium of the psyche that it loves the divine love that is divine reality more than it loves anything earthly, and longs to be fully united with its source of being. With its source of being. The psyche finally surrenders. The ego consciousness drives to divine reality and begs that it may be enabled to heal the ego to go through the death of selfhood. This happens when people are truly reaching the apex of their spiritual life, and they usually need a spiritual master to guide them through it. Oh, oh. This is deep. Spiritual master. Okay. Mm. So I think the goal is for a psyche to take over and the ego be subjected, but I didn't know that the ego to go through the death of the selfhood. So oh, this happens when people are truly reaching the apex, the height of their spiritual life, and they need a spiritual master to guide them through it. Oh, wow, this is deep. Let me tell you, this spirituality is so deep, very deep. Okay, let me read about the death of the self one more time. Okay. This death of the selfhood should never be undertaken as a means of achieving greater spiritual insight. It is highly dangerous and will not succeed in achieving greater spiritual or earthly life. It will be greatly destructive to the psyche and the ego before due time. It will never hinder the whole process of soul, psyche, ego, physical development. No one should entertain such a thought in order to be more advanced in spiritual perception and truth. Such an act of willpower will be defeating since it is born entirely of the ego drive to be more important spiritually. So it's basically saying, don't, I never heard about the ego destruction. I've never heard about that. Okay, when this experience of ego mastery takes place at the right time, in the right way, the soul, through the medium of the psyche, is free to a large extent to commune direct with the divine reality, since the continual chatter of ego consciousness is stilled. Ah. The continuous chatter of ego consciousness is stilled. The pull of the earth is no longer paramount. Self-centered ambition fades. The desire for personal possession dissolves. Peace reigns in the mind. The soul, now speaking clearly through the psyche, longs to uplift, nourish, contribute to the growth of other souls, educate, uplift, and nurture with understanding and tenderness without any desire for recompense or aggrandizement. Oh, all right. So this is just saying, um, when you master your ego in the right way, um, the soul through the medium of the psyche is free to a large extent to commune direct with the divine reality, since the continual chatter of the ego consciousness is stilled. So it's to master ego. I think we always say in church, to put the flesh under subjection, and the goal is to master our ego. And when that happens, the soul, the psyche is the medium, is free to a large extent to commune direct with divine reality. So that, and divine reality, I just see it as father mother consciousness in equilibrium. It's just the place where everything is. It's just the place of perfection. We're still connected to the source of our beings. We're still connected to that equilibrium, you know, because it's so So when this happened, when ego, and you master the ego, the psyche, remember I told you the psyche is the intermediary, and that's the mind, everything is mental, between the soul and the psyche is the intermediary between the soul and the ego. So when you master your ego now, because remember the ego had the psyche in jail, basically, and the psyche and the soul they push and the push, and now they master the ego, and the psyche is free to a large extent to commune with the soul through the medium of the psyche is free to a large extent. So listen, to commune direct with the divine reality since the continual chatter of the ego consciousness still. So the ego is mastered. So the pull of the earth is no longer paramount. Self-control, listen what happens when the ego is mastered. And now you only have the psyche and the soul. Self-controlled ambition fades, self-centered ambition fades, the desire for personal possession dissolves. Oh, wow. Peace reigns in the mind. The soul, now speaking clearly through the psyche, longs to uplift, nourish, contribute to the growth of your souls. Educate, uplift, and nurture with understanding and tenderness without any desire for recompense or self-aggrandizement. And this is what happens. If you're feeling this, it's when you have mastered your ego. No desire for personal possessions dissolves. Peace reigns in the mind. The soul, now speaking clearly through the psyche, longs to uplift, nourish, contribute to the growth of other souls. Contribute to the growth of other souls, not just yourself. Educate, uplift, and nurture with understanding and tenderness without any desire for recompense or self and aggrandizement. And if you're feeling this, this is when the ego is mastered, and this is when your soul, your psyche is in full control. Flesh is powerless. This is like what Christ was on earth. This is what Christ was on earth. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, this is what Christ was on earth. Yeah. So as the soul is drawn into ever closer contact and attunement with divine reality, its only earthly goal is to treat the neighbor or other people with the same kind of concern and consideration it needs for itself to flourish and be content. Giving becomes as easy as breathing. Eventually, it becomes a privilege to work for with other people for the promotion of their highest good. This is divine love in action. Oh, wow. So these, as you read these, you think of many chapters in the Bible. Love your neighbor as yourself, you know, love your neighbor as yourself. So This is when we're changed. This is when ego, where we've mastered ego. This is when we're operating directly from the reality of divinity. And this is what it looks like. As the soul is drawn into ever closer contact and attunement with divine reality, its only earthly goal, the only goal is to treat the neighbor, or other people with the same kind. Love your enemy as yourself. Love your neighbors. This is what it looks like. This is what the Bible was telling us, you know. Earthly goal is to treat the neighbor or other people with the same kind of concern and consideration it needs for itself to flourish and be content. Giving becomes easy as breathing. Eventually, it becomes a privilege to work for and with other people for promotion of their highest good. This is divine love in action. Yeah. So this is what um just thinking about others. You know. However, there is no sentiment in divine reality. The intention behind individualization was to enable divine reality itself to experience its own nature of creativity, joy, and personal in fulfillment. And this this right here, it says there the intention between individualization and the Christ letters make it seeing that individuality that we got from during the conception from our father. From it tells you from electricity that individualization, it represents masculinity, you know. And I never saw it like this, that the intention behind that was for divine reality itself to experience its own nature of creativity, joy, and personal fulfillment. And somehow I heard this before. It's like um, what we call God, what we call source, what we call um, the all, what we call it, what we call whatever you call your God, is always for it to experience. Oh my gosh. It's always for it to experience whatever we're experiencing in this world. So that is divine reality. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but it's like um, the goal of us being here. It's like for God to experience this 3D realm. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And uh, and because and that's why we got this individuality, but we came here and seems that we were programmed, whoever create this matrix, we were programmed um to just think that it's just us, it's just me, there's nothing else, I'm just this body, there's nothing outside of me. um but the whole time, so when they told us that God is experiencing what we're doing on earth here with us, if we allow him, is that what the free will was about? This is divine reality. We will only when we allow that God aspect of us to um give up this body. That's why I said his hands is always stretched out. Oh my gosh. It's when the only time we can experience that divine aspect, the heaven on earth. The heaven on earth is when we give up the ego. It's when we give up the ego. So, so the goal is we can't understand God, who God is, what we call God. This is so divine. So it seems the goal is we were created that the source of our being, what we call God, to enjoy our experience here, to be God's son on earth. And the only way to do that is to give up the ego. And walk in our divinity. Oh, wow. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. This is why we got our individuality. We're individual, but the same, from the same source. Mm, mm. Oh, wow. So divine reality is, mm. So yeah, and that this right here embodies what we think God and what is. Experience divine reality itself, to experience its own nature of creativity, joy, and personal fulfillment. That's how God is. He gave us this individualities that he can also experience what we're experiencing. But I think because we don't have knowledge, because whatever happened with the ego and all that, we never knew that. And the more the ego, we master our ego, then we can have access to that divine reality. Oh, that's what these men knew. That's what Christ, Buddha, all of them. That's what why they came. That's what they want us to know. That's what they wanted us to know. Mm, mm, this is powerful right here. Mm-mm-mm. The intention behind. So he says there's no sentiment in divine reality. All this sentiment, oh, we want down here, oh, you're so good, you're so blessed, and all that. There's no sentiment. Divine reality is not sentimental. Oh my gosh. Mm, mm. This is powerful. The intention behind individualization was to enable divine reality itself to experience its own nature of creativity, joy, and personal fulfillment. Let me I was going to stop there, but let me hear what Christ was saying. Therefore, when I was on earth, I drew the lines between giving and receiving quite clearly when I said, do unto others what you would have them do to you. This statement was a loving warning that as you sow, so will you reap. It was also a guideline to behavior. If you do unto others what you would like done to yourself, then you can be sure that you are acting only from the standpoint of love. And this is why when we say God is love, this is what love is. No sentiment, just giving of yourself, not requiring anything, not no accolades, not anything. God just, that's the nature. The nature of this divine reality is just it's just the love. It's all love. It's just to give itself an experience. The joy you get when you see someone receive what you give to them. The joy when you help someone, that's all you need. You don't need any accolades or anything. And that's the nature of what we call God. So therefore, when I was on earth, I drew the lines between giving. No, past that. So if it was also guidelines of behavior, if you do unto others what you would like done to yourself, then you can be sure that you are acting only from the standpoint of love. If other people do not want you, if other people do not want what you would like done for you, then you live by trial and error. You are taking a positive step towards fulfilling the act of true love. And if it is rejected, you have given yourself an opportunity to find out what would be more greatly appreciated in the future. In this way, do you grow in the act of love? I also said, love your neighbor as yourself. This meant that you should have equal concern for your neighbor's comfort as you have for your own. It also means that whenever you wish on to other people, you would be happy to have them wish on yourself in like manner. It it means that you must think the thoughts about others which you would be happy for them to think about you. It means that your entire consciousness should be directed at caring concern for others, no matter what they may be doing hurtful against you. All human beings are living in a jungle of human desires, goals, frailties, disappointment, anchors, and anger and frustration. Out of this war-torn consciousness come many weak and ill-judged responses and actions. Yeah. Yeah. This is something else. Yeah. So this is what love is. This sums up everything um, of what we're aiming towards. And we can judge ourselves by if we are exuding these these fruits. Are we feeling these in our daily lives? Mm? Are we doing these acts in our daily life? Therefore, behold the frailty, forgive the unkindness, and let it go back into the nothingness out of which it came. The only truth and reality is your life is divine consciousness / intelligence love. Hold fast to this realization at all times. Okay, and we're going to leave it here. And we're going to leave it here because it's, yeah, do unto others as you would like them do to you. Love your neighbor as yourselves. That's exuding it. That's allowing divine. That's what divine reality is. Service to others. Service to others. It means your entire consciousness should be directed at caring, concern for others, no matter what they may be doing hurtful against yourself. That's what the Bible tells us. Love your neighbor as yourselves, no matter what they're doing to you. And if we think this is hard, we're still in our ego. We still haven't mastered our ego. And that's okay because we're here to grow. And I know many of us, if you find my channel, our psyche is still pressing on the ego, pressing on us to master ego. So our soul, so our psyche can take over, and so we can reunited with that divine reality and that divine reality. Oh my gosh. And the name speaks for itself. That divine reality um, is comes the goal from the beginning, it seems like, was for that divine reality to come and experience what we're experiencing in this world. And how it does that, it comes that we should, and that's why I said, ye are gods, ye are gods, and ye are gods, ye are gods. And we can't feel that until we master our ego. Oh my gosh. We can't feel as the gods we are until we master our ego. So if we are not loving our neighbor as ourselves, that in spite of what they do to us, we have to love them, we're still not living the God as the gods we are. If we don't understand people, and if you come into this consciousness, there's no bad person, there's no good person. It's just people vibrating at a lower level. Don't turn the other cheek. That's what turn the other cheek means. So what? You're not going to let them pull you down into their vibration. You continue to vibrate high. Eventually, they have to come up to where you're at. And we don't give. There's no sentiment. We don't need anything when we give. As for me, I shouldn't be doing this for followers. I shouldn't be doing this for whatever. I would just do it. That's exuberating divine reality, my godness, my divinity, the God I am. This is a lot. This is a lot, but it's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. And we'll continue next week. We'll continue. We'll continue next week reading. It's been a blessing. It's really, really been a blessing. And yeah, I just thank everyone. Thank you, sis. I know you couldn't participate, but I hope you enjoyed. I hope you've listened. I hope you heard what took place tonight. And it's been a blessing to you. And Father, Mother God, the nature of divine reality, we just thank you for everything that was done and said here tonight, that the goal for us is just to master our ego so we can live in this world as the gods we are, serving others, because the gods that we are doesn't want any sentiment. And all that, now I'm praying, I'm thinking, all that we do, oh my gosh, just we don't even understand the God that we worship, that we talked about. Oh, it's the nature. It's the nature is just to give and give and give. And I am so thankful that the nature of what I call Father, Mother, God, divine consciousness, divine reality is just to give. I'm thankful and thankful and thankful. And thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. And that's all we should be. And I'm thankful for that. And help us also that as we grow, in the consciousness of mastering our ego and more and more blending with our soul leading and guiding our reality, that we can come into who we really are. So I thank you tonight. I thank you for your blessing. I thank you for watching over us. I thank you for keeping us safe. I am thankful, thankful, thankful for these letters. I am so thankful for them. They have been a blessing. Everything I am, everything I've known, everything that have changed me is because of these letters. I'm also thankful for this channel. I'm also thankful for my family, and I'm just thankful for the growth. And I know there's higher heights and deeper depths. And as we continue to grow and understand who we are, so bless us as we go. Thank you for our healing as we continue also to heal and understand how we can heal ourselves through these letters. We thank you so much. Bless us, Father. We give you honor, we give you glory, we give you praise, and we say thanks. Thank you, Lord. Glory be to your name. We thank you. Thank you, everyone. If you join me on Facebook, or if you join me on YouTube, thank you. If you'll be watching it this at a later time, thank you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you have been blessed as I have been. Thank you, sis. I know you can't speak, but thank you always for your faithfulness. And I pray always for your strength, and I pray always for your growth. Thank you, thank you, thank you all. Be blessed, everyone. And we see you next week. Be blessed.